I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots, and a sexy body.
Way better than Shang-Chi or
Yes, but
Eternals.
you just hate Shang-Chi, so it doesn't really apply.
Mike hates most things.
Mike does hate most things, as we're going to talk.
But justifiably so.
No. because you hated Moon Knight. And
well, I wouldn't say I hate Moon Knight.
Hold
I was
on
very
a second. Mike, you weren't
disappointed
here
with
last
Moon
week, so there's a new thing I do now. That's a segue, y'all. Now go, Mike.
There we go. Okay, great.
I hate Ricky.
Shoki
I
wants
hate
to
Ricky
have a
so
nice
much.
segue, and I'm gonna
I was
fucking ruin them every time.
disappointed with Moon Knight.
No, you said it was
Didn't
crap.
hate Moon Knight.
You said it was
Oh,
crap.
You said,
Put it this way.
You said it was
When you
shit.
have- When you have 4.5 hours of show and only 15 minutes of Moon Knight action, that's disappointing. I'm
Dude,
sorry.
have you read Moon Knight comics? They had entire comics where Moon Knight never even shows up.
You know what? Moon Knight is supposed to be the Batman of the Marvel Universe. Really, that's what he was made to be, right?
Well,
When
a lot
you
of
don't even
characters
get that, no, I'm serious. Moon Knight in the Marvel comics was supposed to be Marvel's Batman. Seriously,
Yeah,
honestly.
we know. But he's
Look it
not.
up.
Iron Man is now.
But when you don't get that, I'm sorry, it's just disappointing. Plus,
So
on top of that, rearranging the entire origin, the whole origin story and whatnot, it's just, yeah.
They didn't really rearrange it too much. I mean, in the comics, he was a mercenary and he got killed and off of his life.
Enough to maybe, enough to make
They
it
just modernized it. I'm not saying you're wrong, Mike. I'm just going to say you're not right about that.
I'm going to say he's wrong because Mike's holding it to a standard of comic book canon when Marvel has previously shown by
They don't follow that.
12 series, 24 movies that canon doesn't apply here. You're
Like
holding it
Thanos
to you're holding it to an impossible
universe in the movies was because he just wanted a peaceful place and didn't want worlds to implode. In the comics, it's because he was trying to nail death.
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's nothing to do with nothing. They don't do comic accurate; they do comic inspired,
and that's disappointing.
Well, then you need to give up entirely, man. You have to.
He hates everything.
You're gonna hate
Eternals.
Eternals was bad.
That's a logical
race swapping, gender swapping, everything pretty much swap.
See, I'm talking about this one thing that absolutely is trash. All people agree is trash. Therefore, anything else I say is trash is also trash. That's a logical fallacy to say that. You can say this is one thing is trash, and we'll agree with you on that. That doesn't mean everything else is.
No.
One thing is trash.
But again, I said I didn't hate it. I was just disappointed.
What were his exact words, Shoki? Don't make me dig through the messenger because you're like, it was crap. It was garbage.
He definitely said lame quite a lot. There was a lot of lame out there. Yeah. Let me go see.
I thought
on top of that, Scarlet Scarab. Come on.
Those last two episodes were brilliant, dude. The depth of level
rushed.
Oh, dude, it was brilliant where they went into the psychosis and the psychology and the way they visually showed it on the screen. And
for a whole episode, which they could have done.
Oh my god!
You mean 3 episodes?
Well, no, because the one they just hinted at, and then the other one was full on, and then the last one.
Way too much time spent on it.
I'm talking that the oh no, it was the last 3 episodes. One was the full asylum, one was him dealing with it, and then one was
it was like
10
minutes of asylum, a whole episode of asylum, and back and forth between the asylum.
Yeah.
Whether that was the full underworld asylum or in his head asylum, which we've now established is a thing.
Dude, that thing was phenomenal. The way they handled the alternate personality and that part where they showed him going through the house, like going into all the different rooms and trying to figure out what's going. Dude, beautiful. And then, like most people's thought processes, when you're looking at somebody with multiple personalities, is you want to get rid of one of them. You want the good one, the lead one, to kind of take over. And they didn't do that because in reality, you don't want that. You want to learn how to balance both, which is literally that one whole episode was all about balancing. And a person with an actual mental disorder, you want to learn to balance that with life and learn how to cope with the two things at the same time. You don't want to get rid of one. That's not how it works with psychology. You learn how to handle both at the same time.
Nah.
And I thought it was beautiful how they handled it, and him realizing that I am incomplete without that crazy part of me, that butterfly effect of getting rid of him makes me incomplete and having to go back for him. Dude, that shit was amazing. Just beautifully done, beautifully scripted, beautifully shot. Dude, Mike, you're nuts. I love you,
Almost,
and I like you and I like we'll talk shit and joke back and forth, but this one you are just dead wrong on. This I have to say it now. I can't even say you're not right about it. This one was just top shelf. Those 3 episodes, the rest of it could have been complete trash. And those 3 episodes and what they did with it were amazing. And you listened back last week's episode where I talked with Joe. That's the type of shit I like in a show. I want that deep, heartfelt shit. I want that behind, the psychology of it all, the psychosis of the person. And then they found a way to put it on TV. Top shelf. Top shelf. It's right. Those 3 episodes, probably my favorite Marvel TV stuff, period.
I think it's probably
I'll say
the
that
best.
Ethan Hawke playing a cult leader was good.
It was awesome.
He
him
played
doing
it
the
very well,
psychologist bit,
right?
that shit was awesome. That whole bit with him as a psychologist was awesome.
He did play it very well, and it is something that Marvel really needed to bring into the shows, right? At least to me. But this is basically it's almost revisiting a storyline that has already been used in a sense, right? Marvel's like basically playing it again with the storyline almost touches up on stuff that you already seen from Winter Soldier, right?
We had that discussion a few weeks back, though. There's only so many storylines to pick from. There's what, 7 types of
but
stories?
it's
in
30,
spending
37.
too much time.
No, it's not that many shows.
No, it really is.
It's way less than that.
Nope.
It's like the hero's journey, the something else. There's like 5 to 7 of
You're
them.
not even
The
really
rest of
getting
them are
that.
all options.
You're getting too much of just certain aspects.
I think
I was a little bit disappointed, and the
hold on.
entire ending
Let me
felt extremely rushed.
let me interrupt you here, Mike, because we've listened to you talk about the Batman, we've listened to you talk about Moon Knight, we've listened to you talk about other heroes and other types of movies and stuff like that, and you tend to have the same argument, and it's either it's too boring, it's too lame, all this other stuff,
Or it's too rushed.
or it's too rushed. But the thing is like you don't offer an alternative. So how would you
Like,
want
what's
it?
the solution?
How would you want it? What is your Moon Knight series?
What is my Moon Knight series? Good
That
question.
asylum thing should have been the whole entire season.
I disagree with that because we need Moon Knight. We need Moon Knight actually kicking ass.
No, it's I don't mind the whole asylum part of the story. I just don't think it needs like pretty much as much time devoted to it that that they gave it, right? To me, it was just a bit too much.
But it's the only thing is that we talked about this before. The structure of a movie versus the series. It's still a 3-act story, but it's told over 6 episodes, which is 4.5 hours, depending on the.
But choosing to throw out Arthur Harrow's comic book backstory
Because they rewrote his character entirely.
Yeah.
Because Arthur Harrow didn't matter in the comics. He was no one.
Me, there's your entire problem, right? And by making Ahmed the primary antagonist deity in Moon Knight, it just seems like Marvel Studios has tried to come up with its own unique story for Oscar Isaac's Mark Spector.
And let me tell you, his acting was fucking superb.
His comics, right? However, the studio has not only missed out on some storytelling opportunities that are present in several Moon Knight comics, but has also reused the storyline from one of its own movies. It just seems like to me, right?
But it's not even, they haven't missed out on it because it's still going to go.
What?
They already greenlit season 2. They haven't missed out on it. They just haven't done them yet.
Yeah.
It's an origin story. I mean, you gotta fucking start somewhere.
Yes, but it's
okay. So once again,
I kind of like they did like they did with Spider-Man. They didn't bother with the whole. This is Peter Parker. He's a nerd in high school. This is Peter Parker getting bit by a spider. This is Peter Parker learning. No, they just dropped you in to him being Spider-Man.
Yeah, because
And that's
by
what they
now
did with this Moon
everybody
Knight. They
knows
just
Peter Parker's
dropped you into him being
all
Moon Knight, and then just did flashbacks to fill in those origins, which I think is the best way to handle it. I don't want to watch a whole season of Mark Spector, the mercenary, walking around, and then in the last episode have him get killed and Khonshu step in and not be the cliffhanger till the next season. Fuck all that shit. I don't need all that.
No, that would be
Right where they
boring.
drop us into it.
I just think it spends too much time on
The human
you know,
aspect.
this whole backstory.
The human aspect of it is the problem you have.
Eh,
You want to see
Did
Moon
y'all
Knight
catch
running
the
around
mid-credit
killing
scene?
people. You don't want to see
I'm
Mark
wanting
Spector
more
dealing with things.
superhero action rather than why am I such a flawed character?
Did you catch the mid-scene credit scene on the last episode?
Oh, I caught it all.
There, Shoki, did you know there's a mid-credit scene?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, a lot of people didn't know it was there. You caught it?
Everything was spoiled for me before I ever watched the fucking episode, so it is what it is.
Oh, that's fucking lame.
Well, I
Yeah,
don't mean
because
everything, but it's the problem is well, because
why-
YouTubers don't wait for anything. They just put the shit out there and just put the fucking spoilers in the goddamn thumbnail. So I knew that Jake Lockley was coming, but at least that was built up, not 100% a surprise. Most people were just assuming we weren't going to get it at all, and then we get
Everybody
it.
thought the third personality was Khonshu through the
Yeah.
entire show. I kept seeing people talk about that. It's
yeah, even-
Khonshu. It's Khonshu.
I even said that. I said, it's
Yep.
like, is he taking over? And in a way, yes. But the fact that even Steven and Mark don't want to acknowledge that they know that there's a third one there, but it's just like, that's the one we don't talk about. Like, we know it's there, something clearly going on. We saw the other sarcophagus making noise and rocking, which...
It's the one they don't know about.
Well, they know
they
he's
don't know
there, but
about-
they're
they
too
don't know.
scared.
No, they know something's there. They don't
Yeah.
know it's a third personality. They don't know what it is.
Yeah. But after, even when they said, I didn't do this, did you do this?
Oh,
And then
by the way, spoiler alerts, everybody. We're talking.
It doesn't matter. If we're this deep into it, they know that we're going to talk in depth about it. But the point is like we had a good run of beat 'em up superheroes. We really did. Like the 90s was all about beat 'em up superhero things. We got an origin, and then they might deal with some bullshit, and a lot of them were all supernatural, generally speaking, superheroes, not men and women who just start from nowhere and have to become a superhero. But the thing with modern Marvel that's great about it is they're taking their human characters that have found themselves with ridiculous powers, generally speaking, and bringing them to a human level, explaining why they are. Most of this Marvel TV series that has happened, regardless of which one you're talking about, it all deals with people dealing with their fucking issues. Because
I have to say that goes back even further than modern, dude. I don't think the '90s was run and gun beat 'em up superheroes. I think
but
that
compared to
change
now,
started happening in the '70s with like Neil Adams and all them. That's when that shift started happening, where you're looking at the psyche of why this person is the way they are, instead of just boom, this is the person.
I just meant the modern movies and series is what I was getting at more than anything. Because we see so WandaVision. We got a whole fucking 15 minutes with Wanda on screen prior to this, and all we ever see from her is her damage. We see her go through these battles. We see her try to make up for it with the new family, with the Avengers, and then things just go wrong there, obviously. And then we got to figure out how and why Wanda is remotely important. So we get WandaVision. We deal with her fucking grief.
That was another great one too.
Great fucking series, and I get why people don't like it, because a lot of people like the first half and don't like the back half. And I say most
because that's where it steered away. The first half was dealing with the psychosis and the pain and the depression,
living
and the
in the psychosis, 100%. Yeah,
and then the last half was just her trying to fight Agatha Christie or whatever the fuck her name was.
Yeah. Agatha Christie. That's
Agatha Christie.
Y'all like
Agatha.
That?
Yes, Agatha all along.
That was nice.
I know Agatha Harkness.
Her last name is all along. Apparently, it's because it was Agatha all along. I heard the song a few times.
You're so dumb.
I heard the song a million goddamn times on YouTube. I'm very much aware. Her last name is all along. And her, and,
I don't know. I just see over the past year, Marvel's just had a notoriously difficult time wrapping up its Disney Plus shows with
But
finales
that's the
like
thing is, I don't think they're wrapping
WandaVision
them
and
up.
Falcon and Winter Soldier and Hawkeye, and they're
but
all earning these lukewarm responses from like critics and a lot of viewers, right?
But
And
that's
those episodes try to pack too much into their runtime and largely fail to deliver that kind of nuanced conclusion that their respective series deserved, I think.
I think you just hit the nail on the head by accident on that one, Mike. I think the people that have the super negative. I mean, everybody's going to have slight issues here and there. Like I didn't think Moon Knight was perfect. I just really liked it. I thought it was one of the better ones.
No, I mean, I
But
liked it. Don't get me wrong. I
I
mean,
think
I do
you
like Oscar Isaac's portrayal of the character, right?
I'm
I
saying you
do.
hit the nail on the head with the negative reviews is how you stated it. It's how they wrapped up each different series. And that's
Yeah.
the problem is these aren't wrap ups. These are television shows. That's just the end of that arc. That's the end of season 1. There's still more coming, but everybody who looks at it is in comparison to a movie. The Iron Man 1 ends, that's the end of that story. Iron Man 2 is just continuation of that character in a different story. And
Yeah, but
everybody's looking at the shows like they're movies, like, oh, well, we're wrapping this one up. That's not true. This is a
see,
TV show. This can
that's what I'm also
continue
saying.
on.
They're trying to pack too much into
I think they're
so
just
many
putting a lot
episodes.
there that they can open up into in later seasons. I don't think it's too much. I think it's here's a bunch of packages in season 1. Season 2, we're going to take package 1 and open it up and look and see what we have in here. Season 3, we'll open up package number 2 and see what's in there. Like I think
Huh?
they're just setting themselves
But the
up.
thing is, you're not really guaranteed that you might get, and I'm not talking about Moon Knight specifically, but I
We're
mean,
just talking
with
about that 'cause
any
that's what
kind of
we're
Marvel
dealing with.
Disney Plus show, there's no guaranteed that you're going to get that second season or third season,
But you don't even need a
depending on
season because they have movies still.
right?
Every single one of
No,
these
I know.
is
It's just
chugged
that,
into a movie too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then you try to shove it all into a
Oh,
movie, and
okay.
I mean, if you're not watching the shows, then it's going to leave you a little bit lost for the movie and whatnot.
Yeah, because Multiverse of Madness, if you didn't watch WandaVision, you're going to be lost.
It's like, I mean, for example, I was not exactly impressed with the ending of WandaVision, right? I whatever. That's just me.
That's okay. You don't have to. I don't. You sound
Yeah.
defeated. It's not about defeated. It's we heard what you said, and we're just telling you from our perspective.
No, and
How
I
we
get
saw
your
it.
perspective totally.
Okay,
Well-
and I see what you're saying. Like they're leaving a lot of meat on it. Like using that package concept that I just talked about. If they are not to make a season 2, then there is a lot. Like holy shit, they left all this sitting on the table, and now we're getting nothing. But that happens with literally every TV show ever made. Like there's always something that didn't get a blank filled in. Here we live in an age where they're bringing back shows from 20 years ago to give us final seasons that never wrapped up things from the last one because it just ended. It happens sometimes. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean they're going to build the first season with the intent of, well, this is all we're going to fucking make. So we're just going to make it as streamlined as possible and get it done and over with. That's what movies are for.
Well,
Movies are for the one and dones.
So-
TV shows are for the long, overarching stories.
okay, so here's how I put it. Now, I had this conversation with Bobby earlier, and it ties into his sit down Saturday about momentum.
Mhm.
What the Marvel TV shows, whether that was on Netflix, whether that was the ABC series, whether that was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Agent Carter or Inhumans, all of those things, especially the first 3 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., was filler between movies.
Yep. Like they
It's
talk
tell-
about the
it's-
movie stuff all the time in that show.
Yes. So, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., things that happened in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were not allowed to be referenced in the movies, and the same thing for the Netflix series, but you could go the other way around. And then, but the thing is like, but even then, they weren't putting out movies at a fantastic volume, even though it seemed like they were putting one out every other month. They wanted to keep something to tie you together and keep you somewhat interested while telling a story with different characters that may or may not 100% tie in, especially when it was Coulson, because we all saw him die, and then we all now have a series that revolves around Coulson and his S.H.I.E.L.D. team,
No.
and it all ties, and usually the season finale usually tied into the next movie, whether that was Thor 2. Actually, the beginning of season 1 started right after Thor 2, and they had to end up cleaning up the mess in England. And recovering artifacts and stuff like that. And then also the end of season 1 or season 2 went into Age of Ultron and dealing with the fall of Shield. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was Winter Soldier. So we did Age of Ultron, and then Winter Soldier,
Winter
which
Soldier.
should have ended that, but it didn't because now they had to go a whole different thing. So if you think of it like anime is notorious for filler. You have a main story that's coming from the manga, but the anime has to stay behind the manga because the story's coming from that source.
Yeah, otherwise it catches up too quick.
And if it catches up too quick,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't let it pass it. It has happened in the past, but if the same team's working on both, then they can make it work. But you got to have filler. I mean, one of the most notorious ones is Naruto, that did literally a solid year of filler to let the manga get well the fuck ahead before going into Shippuden, the sequel series. A solid year of filler. They did not stop producing that fucking show to leave a break because they didn't want to lose momentum. With phase 4 basically including all of the TV shows now and into the future as well, Marvel knew that at least with COVID, they needed something to keep some type of momentum. So yes, in some cases, some of these shows are rushed. Some of them are edited in a way that actually fucked them up because of either storylines or because of COVID shooting schedules screwed things up. Notoriously, WandaVision was supposed to be second, not first. Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to be first, but they had to do massive rewrites on that because the original storyline was dealing with a worldwide pandemic, and somebody was hoarding the cure. So they changed the entire storyline to avoid that because obvious fucking reasons in 2019 and 2020. And WandaVision just kind of got pushed forward. It didn't really affect much else at all. And then I don't think too many others had to get changed. Movies had to change more than series had to change.
I think Loki got moved around too.
Loki got moved around a little but
bit.
not that much. Not in comparison. I think they might have cut an episode of Loki or something like that may have smoothed some stuff out, or they merged episodes. But Loki, on the other hand, does have an overarching thing that ties into everything by now, sort of introducing a new big bad for the universe, introducing the multiverse as a proper thing because Sylvie decided to fuck over the entire fucking existence of everything.
But they also left a shit ton on the table that they could go back for season 2 or season 3.
Yeah,
they have a chance to.
But not even with just that. But even Falcon and Winter Soldier, they could still, or eventually Captain America and Winter Soldier, which I did like that update at the end of that show. That show was great. Yes. That show was really great about bringing the two people who lived in Captain America's shadow together in a fucked up world that neither got to participate in to get to this point, So that's one reason.
You got to see the psychology of what was happening with Sam and the psychology of what was happening with Winter Soldier, with Bucky, because you just, in the movies, it's just like, oh, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm upset, they made me murder people. In this, you really got to see how that directly affected him.
And the loss of Steve. The loss of Steve really affected him. And how angry he was at Sam for throwing away Cap's legacy. When he really got that goddamn angry at Sam, and then eventually he basically shoved the shield in his face after he kicked his ass. He's like, "This is your fucking shield. Fucking keep it this time."
So, I love that over there fighting over it in the warehouse.
Yeah. So I mean, I get why people, and even including you, Mike, think that either the pacing is too slow or they're not doing enough. But the point is like and almost all of these series are focusing on characters that got nothing in movies. They were side characters at best.
Oh, no, and I get that.
And a lot of them are dealing with... And
maybe it's just me being a purist,
I suppose, you have to let it go. There is no series that's going to ever please you if you're going to hold that standard, man.
But if you're going to go with that too, then let's transfer that over to our masterpiece collections. You aren't having a G1 collection, you have a masterpiece collection. If you're a purist, those masterpieces do not match your G1s at all. Like just like a Cyclonus alone. Cyclonus, the G1 Cyclonus toy is dog shit. Anybody that tries to say that toy is cool is full of fucking shit.
It's beautiful,
but
Ricky.
look at the masterpiece
that we
get now.
Because with that, I'm happy with whatever is the closest representation.
Well, this is
So
literally the
then that
closest
means
you're
you're
gonna
happy
get.
with Moon Knight because it's the closest representation available. What other Moon Knight are you comparing it
Yeah,
to besides
but
the
then again,
original?
like I said, I didn't say I didn't hate it. I just said
Y-
that
You
I
don't
was a
have
little
positive
disappointed
things
in
to
it.
say about it, though. You literally
So,
spend way more time ragging on it, and then you turn around and you say, "Oh, but I liked it." I was like, and this is coming from one of the most negative people that I know, me. Like, everyone tells me I got a bad attitude and bad fucking thing about everything. And for me to listen to you basically rag on virtually everything that comes out now, and I get it, some things are really fucking bad, especially on Paramount. But and then you turn around and you say, "Well, no, I actually liked it." I was like, "Wait, hold on. You just spent all this time ragging on it. Maybe it's just how you're presenting the way you're talking about it. It's like in a way you come across like Bobby where they always say Bobby hates everything, but then he comes around and says, "Well, I don't hate it." It's like, well, hold on, you just spent all this time hating it. So it's either you like it and it's just not holding up to this impossible standard you've set for it, which I believe is the problem with a lot of the stuff. Like a lot of people are bitching about Multiverse of Madness right now, and without going into spoilers. And I'm going to talk about this in general because it's something that came up over on the game theory or film theory channel, I should say. And it's a very important concept. I did want to talk about this with you guys specifically. And if you out there listening think about this, let me know in the comments. I think people's expectations and their own theories are ruining the movies and TV shows. What you expect
Say that
to
again. Say that one more again.
pe-
possibly.
people's theories and expectations of what a series and movie are going to be end up ruining the series.
I like that.
Because you have set a bar, an imaginary bar. And I'm talking, this is a broad you. I'm not talking to you specifically, Mike. This is everybody. We've all set imaginary bars for a new TV show, especially if it's based on a pre existing fiction, of what we expect of it. And if it's something in, like, say, the MCU, where you have the sprawling universe, we know what stories we've got and we know where they should allude to based on what they got. But in the case of Multiverse of Madness, there's a lot of people who are going to be extremely angry and disappointed because they didn't do the thing that they theorized would happen. You set an expectation so high based on your own assumptions, your own theories, your own expectations, or basing it on canon or anything else like that. Well, if they did this, which was kind of canon, then this must be coming as well. And then they don't do that, and then immediately it's just fucking god damn it, this movie, this fucking thing fucking sucks. The problem is you, not it. And it's the fans that are ruining the
The
actual
preconceived notion.
fiction. So
Yeah.
even and Matt Pat put this out actually on the Game Theory channel not long ago, and he was talking about video games in particular, especially indie games like Five Nights at Freddy's and things like that, Hello Neighbor, stuff like this. And he said, "Wait a minute, are we ruining these games because we put out these theory videos?" There's entire communities out there who base everything on coming up with theories based on what they're given and shown, to the point that they've gotten to the point where they're predicting games before they come out based on what has already happened, and the game designers end up changing it because they don't want to be predictable. And most of the time, it's for the worse. And then because these expectations and these theories have elevated these upcoming stories to such a high level in the fandom, because the videos get out there, you talk with your friends, you have nerd chat, you've got little podcasts like this, your expectations get raised to a level that was never given to you in the first place. And then it comes out and it's not anything you expected, or it's 2% of what you expected, 90% predictable, and then 8% completely off the wall. You just get so angry at it because it let you down. But that's on you as the viewer. And if, people talked about Multiverse of Madness for a year now, however long it's been since they really announced it, and they've said, okay, well, this happened. Oh, this is going to happen. And then it slips in the teaser that Patrick Stewart's up. Oh my God, we're going to get the X-Men. Okay, so Marvel has two options now. We have to shoehorn into a movie that's halfway done or more done. We have to shoehorn in more X-Men stuff to make the fans happy, or completely ignore it and disappoint the fans. Now they have a story planned out, but now they either have to fix it to fit the fans or go against it and piss them off because it fits the story they're writing versus the story the fans want them to make or expect them to make. So I think, in a way, the fans are actually making things worse by having expectations in theory crafting and all these other things. Now, a theory after the fact, like what I did with Ghostbusters Afterlife, is a little different because I'm not predicting what's coming. I just changed up and said, look, the way this movie was presented, it basically removes Ghostbusters 2 from canon. But that's a different type of theory. It's not talking about based on what I saw for what's coming, not predicting anything. You know, that's a different story. That's just having a conversation about what was presented, you know. So I think it's a big problem, and I think that's one reason. I don't know if it's affecting Bobby in that way, or he tends to look at things pretty objectively, but he's also pretty different when it comes to movies and TV series. But
I think it's just he has a standard that they don't meet. That's not quite the same
yeah,
thing as what you're talking about.
no, no,
His is
no,
a standard thing. What you're talking about is a preconceived notion of what it should be.
No, that's I wasn't saying that about Bobby. I'm
The
just
one
saying
thing
like
he has a preconceived notion of, and he freely admits it, is Star Wars. Star
yes,
Wars has to fit inside this box, or you're doing it wrong.
yes. Well, that
Everything else he says, it's shaped like this. My box is
well,
shaped like this, therefore I don't like it.
yeah. Well, that's Mike and Moon Knight.
Mhm.
Mike had a preconceived notion of what Moon Knight needed to be, and then everything he hates about the series is everything that's not in the box he wants.
Okay.
Am I wrong in saying that, Mike?
Kinda.
Well, you basically said it didn't follow these things. It doesn't follow canon enough.
There were
It
just
doesn't.
certain things it took too much time on. I thought the pacing was off. Um,
But they still
you
have
know,
they still have to
so
tell a story. They still have to
that's
tell a story. And what's a story?
Now,
yes, and
okay,
I
so
get
remember way back in the very first episode I did with you guys, we talked about this in the pacing of the show. Now that it's all said and done, Mike, I still want you to sit down and just watch it all at one time. Like take one day when you have the free time and literally just watch it all back to back. Boom, 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 boom. The whole thing and see if it feels different than watching it week to week, one episode at a time.
that can be done.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Because I
that's
think
pretty
that
easy to pull
might
off.
be but I
Because
think
that's
that might be a big
long
thing.
4.5 hours to go through.
Yeah.
Well, the
But I
thing
mean,
is,
you could since you've already
Because that
watched it,
was
you don't
also
have to
mentioned
like.
before. Watch it like a movie, right? So
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, watch it all in one big clump
you
and
know,
see if that makes you feel different about it.
and that's the other thing, you know, of 4.5 hours, you're getting like literally, and I timed it, 15
Mhm.
minutes of Moon Knight action.
That's
No,
cool.
no, it just, yeah, it could have been. I thought personally, it just could have been better. They didn't have to
Mhm.
spend so much time on, say, certain aspects, right?
Like,
Where,
what do you mean? Like, what certain aspects?
like, you know, where I don't know. Let's say
you've got something in mind. Just say it.
let's say
Oh,
let's say in the loony bin and in the afterlife, right? Going on your solar barge, you know, towards the afterlife. You could have probably it could have been done to me in one episode. You
see, I
know,
wanted more of that. Like, that was like some of my favorite parts of
see,
the show.
I'm the kind of guy that knows that okay, you have a superhero, supposed to be an action hero. I'm looking for action, right?
Mhm.
Now I get explaining the human aspect of a character, and especially one as fragmented as Mark, right?
Mhm.
Or
Because these are the three that they've
depending
shown
on
doesn't even
how you want to
scratch the
view the
surface.
character, right?
Because in the comics, they had him up to what, 6 or 7 different personalities? Because every time he'd lose one, it would break and fracture into another one.
Well,
Like,
yeah, right. You know, but
mhm.
so, but to keep on that, how should I put it? That particular bandwagon of constantly going into the whole psyche of it. To me, it just felt a little unbalanced. You're talking too much about the whole mental anguish of what it went through when it could have been wrapped up maybe in one episode instead of maybe two or two and a half or whatever, right?
Well,
That's all I'm trying to say, right?
Well,
I didn't hate the series. I'm glad that I got to see Moon Knight, but I just thought it was a little disappointing, a little bit too drawn out in some sections where it didn't have to be. Plus, on top of that, I felt that the ending was a bit rushed. That's all, right? I mean, Mark gets shot in what, episode 3? You spend episode 4 in the loony bin, and then
No, he gets shot in episode
5,
4.
on the solar barge going to the afterlife, and then he's still dead probably about maybe a quarter of the episode, of the last episode, right? Only to rush through the last bit.
See, to me, when you're now,
it just
I'm not
seemed
saying you're wrong, but just
a
listening
little
to
rushed.
you,
And
listening to you, it sounds contradictory because you're saying they spend too much time on stuff, but then they didn't spend enough time on stuff. Like it's
on certain other things.
He
right?
wants less
I don't know.
talking, more punching.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
But
So what? So like, would it be better if like this show exists as it is, but then like next year they put out a movie that kind of picks up where it's just Moon Knight out doing Moon Knight shit? Then it'd be a better balance.
Well, because like I said, Moon Knight was supposed to be Marvel's Batman, right?
So you keep saying that that's not true.
So no, it actually was supposed to be written that way originally when it was introduced, right? So it was supposed to be. It didn't turn out that way, but whatever, right? So I'm kind of looking at it. See, because look, I'm 50. I'm obviously a little bit older than you guys, right? So I mean,
not by much. Remember, I'm old.
And I'm not bragging that I know more than you guys. I'm not saying that at all, right?
that's exactly what you said. I heard it. You put it in writing.
Well, all I'm saying is with all these comics that I read and whatnot, I just you just want that thing that's on paper that you've enjoyed.
But I really don't.
Hold on.
You want that kind of thought to really come to life.
Okay,
I get the thought,
but I thought it just could have been a bit more.
Okay.
I get the thought, but if I want the comic, I go read the comic. If when I want Batman, I don't want to go back and read Detective Comics 27 and then watch Detective Comics.
Let's put it this way: the second Fantastic Four movie, right, by Fox,
Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Rise of the Silver Surfer, right? Now I'm a Silver Surfer dude. I'm a Marvel cosmic kind of guy, right? I love the Marvel cosmic universe, and I love Silver Surfer, Galactus, all that kind of stuff, right? When you've built up the story so much and Galactus is coming, only to find out in the end they basically made him a cosmic cloud of an outline of Galactus.
It's a nano cloud.
Fuck. Seriously, I spent like 2 hours waiting for this, right?
But that's a
bit of a
disappointment
letdown
of their representation.
You're expecting that iconic character that you've enjoyed in comics to be finally represented on celluloid, on film, right? And not get it.
That was digital, but yeah.
Okay, but you guys,
I know it's digital, but you know what I mean, right?
I get what you're saying with the disappointment of how they portrayed Galactus, but my biggest thing that I hated most about that was when they combined all their powers into one person. I thought it was the stupidest shit I ever heard.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was stupid too. Yes,
that was stupid.
So I'll give you that.
Okay,
that was dumb too.
Hold on,
right?
before you go on, I need to ask you something, Mike. So take your old Moon Knight comics, however many you got, however many you've ever read. Did you read those comics, whether as a child or as a 50-year-old man, and rip out all the pages where there's just dialogue?
Well, no, obviously not.
Then why are you bitching about it in the movie?
Like I'm telling
because
you, I
you need the character building.
Where Moon Knight doesn't show
Maybe
up.
because I've held Marvel up to a high standard based on the first 10 years.
They've never given a high standard.
Hold on, everybody. Hold on, everybody. Everybody, you just heard it here. Mike thinks the DCEU is better than the MCU. Y'all heard it here first.
Especially the first Suicide Squad.
Some of those DC movies were good.
Aquaman and Wonder Woman. That's it.
Some.
And the Suicide Squad.
Which Suicide Squad?
I said the.
The Suicide Squad.
Because
When you
one
have
is
the,
Suicide
it's
Squad,
not
the other one
confusing.
adds the to
What?
it.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think the point still
Okay.
stands.
Anyway, the whole point is, I just thought it could have been a bit better. I just thought they could have spent a little less time on some aspects of the whole 6-episode series and a little bit more with some other stuff in actual.
So let me ask you
so
this.
hold on before let's so we can move on to the next thing because I know
Because
we got
now
more
we're
to talk
getting
about.
into the whole psychoanalysis
go
of
in.
why I
Let's
think
go
the
in.
way I'm thinking.
When
Because
there's
we
a
want
choice
to
between
understand
being
why.
punched in the dick and watching Moon Knight again, Mike would definitely choose watching Moon Knight again. So that means he liked Moon Knight. So now we got that out of the way.
Sure, that's exactly what that means.
Yeah,
We're
I thought it was
gonna
okay.
segue into something else.
Could have been better.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we could go on about this because we're not gonna. It's not that we're trying to convince, but we are trying to convince, and it's not gonna.
No, I'm not trying to
any more
convince him
than
of
you
anything.
convince
I
us
actually,
outside.
I just want him to justify it. That's all I really wanted, because it's like you can say
But he
these
did
things.
justify it.
You can
It's
have
not what I wanted it to be. That's his justification.
Yeah. Okay, but I was going to ask him one more question before we move on. No, just one more question.
How much did you love Layla?
Not that much.
I like Layla for the only thing I didn't like about Layla was the really bad ADRing in the last episode. That was the only there was some
I
really
didn't
bad.
like that they made her the Scarlet Scarab when basically the Scarlet Scarab was a dude.
Yeah, they just did an update. She has a very similar name. They just updated the character like they always do. It's what Marvel do. But anyways, what I was going to say, this is not Ricky's question. I was going to ask you, if they gave us 10 episodes, not 6, everything up until the finale of this particular episode, the final battle, all that stuff, where basically he resurrects and gets the powers back, and that's where that particular episode stops. We move on. We get 2 whole episodes of at least the fight between the kaiju gods and Mark.
That is the one thing I didn't like about the last episode is how they kind of kept those in the background. The CGI
But that was the
gods
point.
fighting each other.
Well, because the other thing is we don't even know if that was really technically happening or not, because the avatars are fighting as well. So my point, but the point is did you just complain that the giant things were moving slow?
No, that they were in the background.
No, they would be moving slow because they're enormous.
Well, I don't know.
That's no, okay.
I'm almost a little bit tired of that trope, though. It's like, how would you even know that?
Because something that big would take a while to move. There's literal science behind that. That's why Godzilla 2014 was great, because it actually accurately portrayed how fast something that size would really be moving.
It's in perception to what we see as motion. It looks slow to us because it's big and lumbering. Now Godzilla up there feels like he's swinging with all his might,
and he's going fast as shit. Yeah, for him, he's going at his speed. For us, it's going slow. But it's something that's enormous, so it is going to move slow. The impacts are going to be slower. It just is what it is.
Maybe
that's a perspective thing. That's just
anyway.
Physical.
So back to the question.
Yes, if they extended it out, so they gave us all of the thing as it existed, but they extended the fight scenes. You got a lot more Moon Knight. You even got a little bit more Mr. Knight.
Well, if they gave it a bit more room to breathe, like instead of 6 episodes, they extended it to, like, I don't know, let's say
8.
10.
We'll say even 8 or 9.
Hey, let's be in the middle. Let's say 8, right? Then, yeah, I mean, I could live with that, right? You give it room to breathe, right? To me, 6 episodes to cram all that in, that's a lot of cramming.
I agree.
I would agree with the 8 episodes, but I would want more of the stuff that you didn't like in those extra episodes, not more of the fighting stuff.
Yeah.
If I agree with you a little bit, Ricky, the only thing I would do is intermix the asylum stuff with the earlier episodes, so he really doesn't know what's real or what's not. But but they really mess with the psychosis of the entire episode, because now we know that Jake, or the entire series, I should say, Jake Lockley has been there all along, and you got to think that every major violent action that was taken wasn't even Mark.
That's right.
And I wanted to point this out earlier, because a lot of people, including yourself, Mike, are complaining that there wasn't a lot of Moon Knight in Moon Knight. Now, the reason is very obvious for that. There isn't much Moon Knight in Moon Knight. What there is, however, is the story of Steven. This entire show was not about Mark. It was not about Moon Knight. It was about Steven.
Yeah.
And
He's the first
finding out
protagonist
he
you're
wasn't
introduced
real.
to. Yeah, he's the first person you're introduced to. He's the shoes we're walking in as the story starts, and he's the shoes that we're in at the end of it too.
Yeah. Well, not the very end, but yes.
Well,
But it was the story of Steven realizing what his life actually is, and Moon
what
Knight
his
is a
meaning
part
in
of
life
that.
is.
Like, so actually, Moon Knight is technically an antagonist in this to the main protagonist.
Mm,
It is because Mark
I don't
and
know
Moon.
about Adam as an antagonist.
Well, he's not a protagonist because they're actively doing things against the will of the protagonist.
He's a neutral.
I don't know. Steven should be neutral, but since he is the main character of the show, that would mean that he's pretty much the protagonist. Mark is directly going against the wishes of, and generally dislikes, and purposely goes against what he wants, and often tries to get rid of him. So Mark would technically be an antagonist to Steven up until he finally starts dealing with his nonsense. But
Right.
it's also very similar to how McFarlane was talking about the new Spawn movie he wanted to do, that the movie was literally not going to go around Spawn. Spawn was going to be a background thing, like almost a background shadow antagonist to the main characters living in the Spawn world. And that's a stupid idea to call it Spawn.
Exactly.
But you couldn't
I
call
want them to
this.
make Sam and
Call
Twitch
it,
buddy
you know,
movie.
so-and-so person guest starring Spawn.
Well, not even. You would just
I
have
want
to
Sam
call
and
it the
Twitch.
city.
I want
Sam
the
and
Sam
Twitch
and
show.
Twitch.
Yeah.
Yep,
Movie.
I want it.
And I'd be
I want
down for
Buddy
that.
Cop, Sam and Twitch.
But you also shouldn't and wouldn't label a show specifically about Sam and Twitch just Spawn. Because if you show Spawn for literally 10 minutes of a fucking 15 series show or 15 episode show, then people would get really pissed because then you really mislabeled it. Now they had to put Moon Knight on there because yes, Moon Knight is in it. And Moon Knight
Nobody knows who the fuck Stephen Grant is.
Nobody knows who Stephen Grant is. You couldn't call it Stephen Grant. But like that's a titling problem. But that's the part of the story. This is Steven's story. And through Steven's story, we got Mark's story
inside the Moon Knight universe.
Yeah. And like that's one reason I liked it. Like I have no dog in the fight when it comes to Moon Knight at all. I owned one figure of him. I knew nothing about it, never read the comics, had a vague mystery of it, didn't even realize he was part of Marvel for like the longest time, had no fucking clue. You know,
I was introduced to him through what do they call them? The ones where it was like him, Blade, and
Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns. That's
so
how
that's what they're building up
yeah,
to.
because I mean, Moon Knight's been around since early 80s.
Yeah. So I mean,
he's like a late 70s, early 80s guy.
Yeah. So with the Black Knight, Blade, him, and I think there's was it the werewolf thing? Ghost Rider. They're all building up to a few other characters too, to be honest, in the game. The Midnight Suns is the thing they're building towards. So they're getting away from Avengers. Like because the Avengers have had their
that's
time.
The other thing too is when you were introduced first to this character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you were introduced to him, let's say, I don't know, early 2000s or maybe somewhere in
I was 90s.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I've known a Moon Knight from early 80s, right?
Right.
So
we have a different perception of what it should be than I would.
Precisely, right?
Yeah.
And this is all that I'm getting at.
No,
right?
we understand that.
When you're so invested in a lot of these characters that you grew up with when you were like really, really small, right?
Mm-hmm.
You expect, and again, yeah, it's a certain standard that you expect because that's what you remember, those precious memories from childhood, from enjoying a story of a character that you liked, whether it was, I don't know, Moon Knight or Captain America or Silver Surfer.
I'm going to take a shot in the dark
or the Inhumans or whatever.
You didn't like 89 Batman.
No, I did like 89 Batman.
But how? Because you grew up in the campiness Silver Age Batman era.
Well, see, but that's the thing, right? I didn't read a lot of DC, right?
I
read maybe a few.
I
read a few episodes, maybe here and there of So I did have a bit of a notion of what Batman was all about. Right. And plus on top of that, watching Super Friends, during like,
but you weren't like emotionally vested into it like you were with the Marvel stuff.
Right. Because I was more of a Marvel guy than I was a DC guy.
I got you.
Yeah. So
we
you know,
do get that
you
though.
do expect that certain standard to be there of, okay, this is a Marvel production from a Marvel comic. Uh, so you expect, yeah, there are a few liberties going to be taken, but you still want that character because that's the character that you've read and you've enjoyed.
Mhm.
And yeah, you put a lot of time, you invest a lot of time in enjoying all these stories, right?
Mhm.
So, sure, if it isn't spot on, I get there are certain reasons why, but you want so much more that it's a little disappointing when you don't get sure what you want.
Mhm.
But that's what goes into what I said earlier. It's like
Well, yes. So I
you set
didn't.
an
So again,
expectation they could never live up to,
well, yes.
and
But
then
the thing
you
is,
end up
I didn't
disappointed.
hate it, like what was said a few times. I didn't
He
hate
hates
it,
it. He
right?
hates it.
You just thought it was the worst thing ever.
I just was
You did think it was the worst
disappointed
thing ever.
a bit.
Well, I think it, and this is me
Like for
just being
example,
honest.
yeah, like
Well,
for example, latest Doctor Strange movie. It was okay. It was good. Sure, there were a few things I didn't like about it because, of what you know about maybe certain characters, and I'm not going to make any spoilers or anything like that. But
yeah.
I didn't hate the movie, so but yeah, it was way better than
So you didn't like the
She
She-Hulk
or
cameo?
Turtles or whatever, right?
It,
So
it would have been cool if She-Hulk was in it, but she wasn't this time.
God damn it! I thought you said we were gonna make fake spoilers for this.
Yeah, they don't know if She-Hulk was in it or not.
You
So
just said that would have been cool if she was in it.
yeah, so one of us is right, but nobody knows. So
So
either
we're the
I'm
door
spoiling it
knockers
or
from
I'm not
Labyrinth?
spoiling it. Which way is it?
I will
It's
not
Schrodinger's
lie.
She-Hulk.
Yeah. We're the door knockers from Labyrinth. One of us lies and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, one of us
Yeah,
always lies and one of us always tells the truth.
that's right.
But all I know is that it was fucking fantastic when the turtles came out of the sewer to help Doctor Strange in the middle of that battle versus
Just so
Gigantor.
y'all know, he actually took time out of his life to type this in our group messenger earlier.
Ricky,
He did.
you smell the bullshit in the air.
It's
Hey,
stacked
it's
high
a
over in Texas.
multiverse, and there have been crossovers with Marvel and the Ninja Turtles. You can't tell me it's
It's a
not possible.
multiverse of madness. And no, it's been DC,
Here's
not
a
Marvel.
spoiler. They
DC,
go into
not Marvel.
other universes that are really fucking weird.
DC, not Marvel, has had crossovers with TNT.
The
Also-
Paint universe.
Also,
Oh,
the Flash really fucked it all up in this movie. I cannot believe that he tried to fix his mother's death
Okay.
and didn't
Okay.
see how bad that would go.
Okay, on to the next thing. Let's go.
Okay.
Now we're just being goofy. We're trying to ruin my Flashpoint story. Wait and let Ezra Miller do that in his
Ezra Miller has already managed to ruin the Flashpoint story as it is. It doesn't matter. Well, because it's already pushed back another goddamn year. It was supposed to come out this summer. It's already been pushed back another goddamn year.
You think they're gonna re-record all the Flash pieces with him in it so that they can just dump Ezra Miller
Exactly.
for sure?
Exactly.
Fire that guy's ass.
Please fire him. Or yes, either way.
And
You know,
Oh,
he was trash in
Okay.
the new Harry Potter movie with his fucking hippie hair. He needs to get a haircut.
yeah, I want to see that movie just because I want to know how much time has passed because he grew his hair out a fucking lot in between those two movies.
It's long. Like it's
Oh,
like
I know, I've seen.
Snape long in that movie.
Yeah, I know he looks very Snape like.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.